Artur Beterbiev has just released a statement exposing how Dmitry Bivol is ducking him. Now, his statement is completely contradictory to what the ring just released the other day, and I dropped a video about it. So I want to know in this video, is this contrary statement really the truth, or is it just a bunch of bullshit?
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm no good, you know I'm lying.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk, and today we are back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I don't know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man, so check this out. But before we do, don't forget to smack that like button. Let's take a second to do it together. Appreciate it. See, it's just that easy. Keeps us going and growing. It really helps the YouTube algorithm promote our video. So let's get right to the topic at hand, and that is Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol's much anticipated trilogy that they were going to have in August, then they were going to have it in October and November, then December, and now apparently at the top of 2026, good Lord willing.
Damn. I'm sorry.
Artur Beterbiev, in light of that, has released a statement saying, hey man, it's not up to me. It's Dmitry Bivol essentially trying to age me out. Let's read exactly what the former champion Artur Beterbiev had to say about that. So Artur Beterbiev says, I have received hundreds of questions about the third fight. That's why I decided to answer here, with here being the platform known as Instagram. Artur Beterbiev says, as you know, the first fight for the absolute championship title took place in October last year. After 5 years of attempts to unify the belts, it was still successful. The day after the first fight, we agreed on a rematch, which was to take place within 4 months, despite the fact that I was after the operation. And you know, it's going to be a little bit choppy and things will get lost in translation because this is Google Translate and he put it in Russian, you know. So this is Google translating it. He said, which was to take place within 4 months, despite the fact that I was after the operation. Meanwhile, he's referencing the operation that he had with his torn meniscus, you know. And he said, and my coach and doctor were categorically against such an early rematch, you know, in regards to the surgery, right? He said, after the second fight, I immediately showed interest in an early third fight. And at first there were rumors about the about the fight happening in August. But my opponent said in an interview that he wanted to hold it in late autumn, then at the end of the year, and now it is completely unknown when. And this is regards to what I was telling you earlier, how the fight was originally supposed to happen in August, then it got pushed back to October, November, then you know what I'm saying? So that's what he's referencing right here. And then he continues and says, Dima, which he's talking to Dmitry Bivol. How old do I have to be so that we can fight for the third time? You know, referencing the trilogy. So basically, he's essentially alluding to the fact that Dmitry Bivol is basically trying to age him out. So, you know, he's basically saying, hey, man, you're trying to age me out, you know, with him being 40, pushing 41 in January, good Lord willing. You know, he's alleging that Dmitry Bivol and his team are attempting to age him out. And that's where I call bullcrap. Bullshit! And the reason why I call bull on that is because, yeah, that sounds good and he's playing into the fans, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Beterbiev. First of all, I think Beterbiev is a stand-up dude, man, a dope champion or former champion. But, you know, we all get caught up in our passions and our emotions sometimes. There's no way that Bivol is trying to age you out. And let's say that the fight was supposed to take place in August, then October, and then November, and then December, and now the top of 2026. These are months we're talking about. We're not talking about years. Even if the fight happens, it doesn't happen until 2026. It still wouldn't be a full year to transpire, you know, to go around until it's past February. So it's not a huge amount of time that he would be aged out anyway. So if he was old then 9 months ago, you're going to be old in 11 months. It doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? You're already aged out. If you were aged out, you're an older fighter. That's what it is, you know. Now, does it look suspicious? Of course it looks suspicious, because like I said, this is contradictory to what the ring has released in regards to the explanation as to why the fight was postponed and delayed in the first place. Because remember, the ring said that it was a request that Turki Al-Sheikh received from both parties, meaning Beterbiev's team and Bivol's team, to essentially have the fight on neutral grounds, or, you know, in Russia, and have it organized by a third party, a neutral party, right? Which is cool. But now Beterbiev is suggesting that, you know, he didn't really refute that, but he just didn't say whether or not that request is going to hold up the fight from taking place, period. So he's basically alleging that the hold up as far as the date goes and the fight to actually take place is on Dmitry Bivol's side. And it could be, right? That could very much well be the case. But I want to be very clear, you know, Artur Beterbiev said himself that he had an injury, right? He admitted that. And if you remember that the original fight was supposed to happen, the first fight, that fight got postponed because of the same injury that he's referring to, you know. And guess what? Dmitry Bivol fought Malik Zanad, if you remember that, right? And I talked about this in the last video. So Dmitry Bivol was the victim of a postponement too. So let's be very clear. And then yes, the second fight did have a quick turnaround, and Beterbiev said, hey man, if I would have lost the first fight, I don't think Bivol would have gave me a rematch. And that I agree. I'm not sure if Bivol would have rematched him if he would have won the first fight, but that's not where we're at right now. You know, in the current time that we're in, you know, Bivol got the rematch and he won the rematch, and now they're looking for a third fight, which I want that to happen with utmost haste. However, the point that I'm going to make here is that what if Dmitry Bivol is injured? What if he has some lingering injuries like his wife alleged that he has? You know what I'm saying? Remember when she pointed out all the functions of his anatomy in every single place where he has an injury and where he's hurt, you know? So maybe he's trying to fully recover before he has a third fight. Is he dragging his feet? Yeah, that'd be dragging your feet. But at the same time, how could I get mad at Bivol for trying to be 100% healthy, or not be, or minimize how much he's handicapped or compromised going into a third fight, which is probably would be the biggest fight of both of their careers? Not only that, if you follow Beterbiev's career, you would know that a lot of times there were more fights than just the Bivol fight that were postponed. Why? Because Beterbiev postponed the fights and his opponents just had to eat it up, right? They just had to eat that up and then just go ahead and wait for him to have the fight. You see what I'm saying? So now it's just, hey, sometimes the shoe's on the other foot. Like I said, I don't know. It's speculation now. I don't know if Bivol has any injuries or lingering ailments. But if that's the case, then okay, well, Beterbiev, a lot of times throughout the course of your history of fighting, you made other fighters wait for you to recover from your injury or whatever reason why you delayed the fight. So now the shoe's on the other foot. So I don't really feel sympathy there, but I do agree with him that it would be most beneficial for this fight to happen as soon as possible, because I don't want Beterbiev to be aged out either, you know. And the longer that this fight takes to come into fruition, the more advantageous it'll be for Bivol, excuse me. And you know, it'll be mostly to Beterbiev's detriment because he is older. But at the same time too, like I said, we're not talking about a span of years, we're talking about a span of months. So if you're worried about being aged out, then buddy, you're already old, because some trilogies, you know, they take up to 5 years. Ask Canelo and Triple G. Look how long Wilder and Fury's trilogy took. That took up to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? So my point is that, of course, we don't want it to take that long, but let's not go overboard and exaggerate the fact that you are being aged out by the time when it hasn't even been a year yet. You see what I'm saying? And it won't be a year if y'all fight in January or February, you know. It'll be a year at the end of February 2026 since the second time y'all fought. So let's slow down with these aging out allegations. But if it is the case where Bivol knew that he wasn't going to fight him, then it does look a little suspicious, and I would get frustrated from Beterbiev as well. But let's slow down a little bit, you know. So I personally don't believe that it's a case of him aging him out. I don't believe it's a case of, oh, Bivol ducking Benavidez. I do believe that the rematch, or the trilogy was on deck. You know, it was on deck, and then whatever is happening now with them getting other organizers, maybe Turki Al-Sheikh is behind the fact that it's being delayed a little bit, even if they are switching up the plans and going with a third organizer or a neutral organizer, you know, saying to have the fight in Russia where neither one of the fighters will have a definitive advantage, you know, because Bivol is seen as Turkey's guy relative to Beterbiev. So if that's what you really want to do, maybe that transition of event planning is taking a little minute. I don't know. You know, these are things to speculate, but I really don't think that Bivol is trying to drag this out in order to fight Beterbiev when he's older. Or I don't think, and I don't think that Bivol didn't fight Benavidez because he was ducking Benavidez. No, I think that he thought the fight was going to happen, and now it's not happening. So in hindsight, you know, it looks like he could have been ducking Benavidez or trying to drag it out with Beterbiev. I just don't think that's the case. I think that's just people's emotions getting the best of them. And we'll see when Bivol makes a statement. We'll see what he has to say in regards to that. But it does look a little bad, and it can get a little suspicious if Bivol is in fact the reason why these fights aren't happening at all. But if it happens a couple months later, it's not that big of a deal, man. Relax. You know, I want these fights to happen now, but I'm not too concerned as far as somebody ducking them or ducking each other, or the fight being in jeopardy from not coming into fruition at all because it's been a couple months delayed. Let's relax. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all rocking with me as always. Don't forget to let me know what you think about it in the comments. Am I being too easy on Bivol? Do you agree with Beterbiev, or do you agree with me, or you have your own opinion on it? You let me know in the comments, man. But most importantly, don't forget to smack that like button. But even more important than that, the utmost importance, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.